I don't know how John planned to kick this off, but we'll just get going. So thank you seriously for being here today. We started doing these town halls a while ago, and I just love the idea. I love that some it's not super formal. We have kind of a set agenda that we go through, just some updates. So we'll do that today. We have a few introductions to make. And with that, I will maybe turn it over to John Osborne.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
We gotcha.
All right. Well, thank you, Ann. And I saw the emails about 5 minutes ago that Rad wasn't going to be able to make it. And if you weren't, I was going to try my best impression of Rad. But we'll leave that for another day. Thank you all for joining. I'm coming to you from the great city of Baltimore. It's a proud day here. Can anybody out there that's not from Baltimore know what happened last night that very, very few people have ever done, and only 6 in Orioles franchise history? Anybody?
We had a no-hitter, and it was one
but we had an
pitch away from a perfect game.
No-hitter?
Did
That's it.
you have a flock of birds come in, Orioles or something?
Yeah, it's better the Oriole than the Raven. You know, I'm a Browns fan, but yes, I thought I would I'd share a little part of where I'm at, as I know everybody is coming from various parts of our great nation. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. It was a no-hitter, and yes, it was an error that got one man on base after he had struck him out, and he was able to run to first. But either way, glad to have everybody. Thought I'd start off with a happy note, and we're going to end with the happy notes because we're doing great things here in the society. So with that, the only 2 things I just wanted to throw out are probably things that everybody should be tracking, and that's we're going to get to meet again virtually during JETSI coming up May 17th through the 21st, and also hope that as many fellows can tune into YouTube for the investiture. It's great to see a lot of numbers supporting our new class and supporting classes previous and those to come. So thank you again for joining. I don't think, last I knew, Mark was hiking the Appalachian, and Rad is in interview. So we will pass through their remarks at this time and save the time for some of our deputy chairs. The next one up is Melissa.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for coming today. I think another day we want to put on our calendar is May 12th when the NFL schedule is released. I'm really looking forward to seeing when my Ravens play the Browns next season. So for the communications and marketing for the Academy of Fellows, we are working on our next newsletter, which will be released the end of May. And then next year we'll be doing them quarterly, just like we've been doing this year. And then I want to thank Carrie Ann Williams, who I see just joined the call, and she's going to be shadowing me this year. And then she's going to be the vice chair of communications and marketing in the following year. So if anybody has any ideas, any input for the newsletters and for any other communications, please let me know. And now I'm going to pass it on to Sally.
Thanks, Melissa. Hey, everybody. I'm Sally Riker. I'm the Vice Chair for Awards and Recognition. It's nice to see you all, but you're really tiny, so I'm having to squint at my screen. Wish it was bigger picture. But real quick, my update is on the Gerald C. Brown Mentoring Award. We ended up going through selection and selected Glenn Turney with HDR out of the San Antonio Post. And so we're really excited to present the award to Glenn, and you'll hear more from him next week at Investiture. But as another note, you know, as you're thinking about awards and who we want to recognize, just be thinking in the back of your head, like, who else do we want to recognize for Golden Eagle? Because we're always thinking about, you know, what's coming up and, you know, internal, external, Golden Eagle, who do we want to recognize? So always open to ideas. So just put on your thinking caps and think about who you know and who needs to be recognized. Thank you so much. And I will pass it to Anne.
Thank you, Sally. Mic check, everybody. Am I good? Cool. Okay, Kathy, there we go. So one of the first things I want to do is kind of step back and welcome some new folks, some new faces, new names that you might be seeing. Where the official transition for the executive committee is at Jetsy, so May 18th. But we've got, I mean, again, just such a great group of people. It's always sad to see some of our XC members go, but at the same time, they're moving on to wonderful things. So for Sharon and Rad, that's awesome for them. Some of these folks are on the line today. Charlie Parham, if you can wave at us, Charlie. I think most people know you. We will be under Charlie's stellar leadership next year, so very much so looking forward to that. I'm actually moving into the deputy chair position next year, so I've been doing the internal, which has been kind of the nominations. I'll be attempting to fill Rad's shoes next year. Sally Riker, you guys just heard from Sally. Sally's staying on as the vice chair for awards. Melissa Smith is staying on as the vice chair for communications. Now, Melissa has, I don't know the word apprentice, or Carrie Ann Williams is on the call today, and Carrie Ann's going to be working with Melissa this year, kind of trying to get the feel for that position for a future role. Sean Moore, I don't know if you are on. Sean is going to be our new vice chair for events. Right there, Sean. I'm trying to look at these little bitty thumbnails.
Sean is working in England this week. He's not.
Okay.
He's not. Yep.
Gotcha.
That's no excuse. Let's still give him a hard time.
Right. Vice chair internal, Patrice Melanson, I think is how you say it. I'm so sorry, Patrice, if I messed that up. So Patrice is going to be taking my old position. Her main focus is going to be the nominations, the process. You guys know what a big focus that is for us. And then Felios is on. There you are. Felios is staying on as our vice chair of mentoring, and I tell you, Felios's role is probably the one that we have, I guess, evolved the most over the last year. Felios has amazing ideas and things planned for mentoring. So I personally am you talk about having the right person in the right seat. We got it right with that one. And who else? Rick Rubin. I don't know if Rick's on. Rick is our vice chair for post engagement. And then Mr. Buddy Barnes, Distinguished Fellows Advisory Committee. Buddy's on, and we're going to hear from him a little bit later in today's call. So I think I got everybody. Again, such a great group, and we're all still in touch, after people shift in and out of their roles. So thank you, Sharon and Rad, for everything that you've given with and put up with, I guess, the last year, but really looking forward to next year. So Kathy, I think, there we go. So now I'm kind of shifting into the vice chair internal report. Big news is the fellows nominations are coming up again. You guys know we have really worked and tweaked this process over the last, I'd say, 4 years, and I feel like, again, we are in a really good spot. So these are dates that we are starting to get out there. There's a couple of hard dates. They're on the website. All of this information, the new form, everything's updated on the website. You'll start seeing these dates in emails and newsletters and all over the place. The big things are June 9th. We have our webinar. Really, I encourage anybody, even if they aren't wanting to be nominated this year, next year, anytime in the next couple of years, I think this webinar really is a good resource to get information about how to put together a nomination package, the process itself. So please, anybody at all that you think might be interested in that, especially anybody that has a role in the process, RVPs, regional fellows, point of contacts. We'd love for as many of those folks to be involved in that webinar as they can. And then August 6th. So that is the hard date this year for nomination, for the list of nominations to be into the national office. So we started this 2 years ago. And what this date is, basically it's a way to help the RVPs and the regional fellows, point of contacts, make sure that people are getting their nominations moving early enough. So if you're not on the list on that date, then your nomination is not accepted in October. So again, plenty of information will be sent out about this, but do not hesitate if you have any questions at all. All the info's on the website, but you are more than welcome to reach out to me or any of the XC. Honestly, we'll track down whatever answer you need. So thank you guys again for taking the time today, and it's good to see everybody or see the folks that I can. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Ann.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Let's go back to the agenda and pass it over to the lovely Sharon Kroc. Look at that. She loved that, too.
Thanks, Joe.
She did. Look at her. Go ahead.
Here I am. It's like Vanna White. No.
Yeah.
Just in miniature. Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And I appreciate seeing all of some of your faces. But telling you a couple events coming up. Those of you that are already registered for JETC, or I should say were registered by the 30th of April, should have gotten an email from Suzanne Grix requesting if you'd like to sign up for the Young Professionals and Fellow Connection. So basically, it's an informal meet and greet prior to JETC to say, hey, I've been going to JETC for however many years, and you love it because you get to meet these people. And, it's just a way to connect because we don't have as many networking opportunities as we would in person. So the deadline on that is you want to sign up by this Friday. And I was going to place the link to that sign up into the chat when I am good at multitasking, which isn't always the case. So that looks like a crazy hyperlink, but there you go. For those of you that can't find the email in your monstrous inbox. So that's for those of you that are registered for JETC and would like to get placed with some young professionals to chat and get to know somebody new. So then the other event that I want to let you know about is, every JETC, we try to have a young professionals and fellow networking session, which we will have again this year, which will be the 20th of May. And it is too many screens open. There we go. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of in a game show setup. So if you haven't been to the one that we did at Small Business Conference, it's great. And I think Victoria suggested that you should have a family photo or a photo of yourself prepared for that evening, but it's a lot of fun. We answered some questions. It's kind of like speed rounds, and it's funny to see what the young professionals answer compared to what the fellows that tend to be more seasoned answer. So it's a lot of fun. Please join if you haven't already. That will be a lot of fun that evening. And I think that's all the events I have to share with you. There are things on the horizon being planned already for the fall, but that will be in Sean Moore's able hands as I move out of the executive committee. But it's been a fabulous year. I've learned a lot, and I'm excited to work with all of you through a different perspective. Thank you.
Excellent. And now, as we get to the end of the agenda, we have Philios, the passionate, intelligent, and insightful chair of mentoring.
Well, thank you, my friends. Good afternoon, everybody. And before I continue my remarks, I wanted to, in addition to thanking John for including me in the agenda and thank my teammates, but also thank Ann for her real nice words starting me off. And you know, one important thing about Ann that I want to make a point here is when I was kicking off my duties on the executive committee as a vice chair of mentoring, I reached out to a number of people, and I would say she was one of my own mentors on this executive committee, giving me some feedback on the history of the position and some of the ambitions that the committee has. So, Ann, I have to give you some credit for instilling some of the passions that I have right now, and thank you for that. But anyway, mentoring is a big passion of mine. I've been a beneficiary of some good mentors over my career, so I'm in the process, have been in the process of being a mentor to others as I see them. And quite frankly, it's a national mission that we all need to take very seriously and embrace and practice it, because if we get this $1 trillion of money that they're promising us every year to get it, we need to get some of our younger people energized very fast and get them ready for the mission, because we got a lot ahead of us and we don't have enough of us. So that's the other incentive. And of course, the sooner we get people ready, the sooner we will find a nice beach to go fishing when we're ready to have fun in our lives. So I wanted to share that with you. About a year ago, when I started as vice chair of mentoring, I set some ambitious goals, and at the end, Mark Huntley got me down to focus on 2. So I picked my top 2, which you see on the screen. I found out that we as fellows have a lot to share with the post, and I know you may have heard some of this pitch before, but I want to say it again because repeating always helps. I felt that when I was president of the DC Post, I needed to learn a lot, and I had some good people around me to help me catch up fast. But as I finished my tenure and I learned a lot of this stuff, I felt a lot of those experiences could be shared with others. So now that I have an opportunity through the national forum of the Academy of Fellows, I wanted to share that. So I made it one of my goals to create some templates and some ideas that we can use as a guiding tool for posts to organize in different areas related to mentoring and achieve that. One of the initiatives over this past year that I was very happy to have been part of is as part of the mentoring advisory group of our national office led by Eddie Gonzalez. One of the byproducts of that effort was the development of the mentoring guide, which has now been published, and it's posted on the website. And there's a number of very useful links and ideas on mentoring. And there's a component there that is contributed by the Academy of Fellows, and myself and my teammates at the Academy, at the Executive Committee, we contributed. And there's Appendix B of that manual has the 2 working templates that speak to what we can contribute as fellows in the practice of mentoring, both society-wide as well as related to posts. So without being too repetitive, I wanted to refer you to that, and you can take a look at that. As a great example of applying, the theory that I'm preaching on the little template that we put together is I'm working with the Mid-Maryland Post right now to help them further develop what they've done as a post. They've done some really good things on the mentoring side, and they got more ambitions. So now I'm working with them, and hopefully over the next few months we will have a really good showcase of a smaller post embracing mentoring and applying best practices in every area of activity within the post. And hopefully by sharing that, we can get some other smaller posts within the society who may have an interest in learning from our experiences. So that was one of the goals that I had, and we have put it to application now. The second one is mentoring military installations and agencies. A lot of our colleagues on the military side, they have ambitions, they have interest regarding to their careers, whether they stay in the military or continue in the civilian side. So we can bring a lot of that knowledge to the Academy of Fellows. So I've aspired to find some local installations and see if I can get some traction on that. And I'm happy to say that That process is in the works right now. So with the Joint Base Andrews, I'm hoping by the fall we will be having some engagements with the personnel on site to speak to their interests and mentor them by using some of our fellows as resources. So those are two main initiatives within the mentoring site, and you may be seeing emails from me reaching out looking for volunteers who want to join in and bring your expertise, or you may run into me at some event, and hopefully we'll collaborate and really put all these great ideas into use, into application. And I appreciate the support from everybody. It's been a great year working with my current team. I wish my teammates moving up all the best, and looking forward to working with our new teammates coming in under the leadership of Charlie. And with all that, I will yield to the chair of the event.
Well, yeah, hold on, Kathy. I know you're getting ready to switch a slide, but before we go to you know, what we all have done in the past, and that's the best for last, buddy, I'm going to ask you to just pause a minute. I noticed that we have our president on the line, and I thought I'd let Heather, and look at her backdrop. I mean, that is official. Let Heather say a few words to the greater good, and then we'll get back to our best and last, most mature member on our panel here. Go ahead, Heather.
That's great. Thanks for the opportunity. So just a really quick note to thank you all for what you're doing, to provide you a really brief update on the 3 initiatives that I brought forward during my year as president. The first, it's great to follow Filios about mentoring because it's a very close tie-in, and that is the succession planning and the key leadership development commission that Colonel Matt Altman stood up. And that group has really done a lot of hard work, the results of which I think will pay off in the future, not so much immediately, although we have had some great immediate benefits related to really demystifying the role of the national positions, recruiting people to throw their names in the hat. I've had several people come to me and say that the whole reason that they decided to submit for various positions was because of the webinars that they held, and so more to come there, but I'm very excited about that, and I think that's something that will continue to bear fruit. The second was headed or led by Buddy, which was the Strategic Plan Alignment Initiative, so taking a look at our new strategic plan and seeing how our COIs and our regions and our posts align to that, and so really glad to see with the result of that, some of which is some shifting of regions. I think it's just good periodically to take a look at how things are set up and make sure that we're still aligned in a way that supports our strategic plan. And then the third one now is the elected director commitment. So I asked each of the elected directors to make a commitment statement and to bring forward their commitment on what they were going to work on. And we came up with some really, really fantastic outcomes, everything from Rich Houghton with the Health Engineering Task Force. We've just got all kinds of things that have come forward. So I ask that you all consider that as you mentor others. As we have different people rotating off of different positions, we're doing this on the national board level. We have an approach where each person who's rotating off of the national board is contacted by a member of the national leadership team to see and explore what they might want to do next. And I ask that you all do that at your posts as well. So with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Mr. 100, the best for last, Buddy, unless, John, you had anything else before we do.
No, I think you are the perfect person to give accolades and then turn it over to the great Buddy Barnes.
You know, John contacted me yesterday and told me to make sure I was awake at this time of day. And so I just wanted to let you know that I've been exercising and making sure I am. Most of you really have been asking the question of what the heck is a distinguished fellow? And back in 2018, when we went through the AOF action plan, we said we needed to recognize those fellows who continued doing outstanding things as fellows in their career. And so we wanted to call them emeritus. And then everyone thought, well, that's kind of a person that's being shipped out the door. And so we decided to change that to distinguished. And so we did the national leader team at that point in time came up with a selection process, and they looked at things like gold medal winners, presidents of the society, chairs of the Academy of Fellows. We looked at a number of other things, the Golden Eagle Award winners, and the involvement that people had. Sorry for the phone. And so that's where they came up with this initial 8 people. And as you see, Gene Lupia was a president when we were still having chiefs of services. Tony DeTita was a president when we changed to have members that had not been military chiefs. Jim Donahue has been around so long that the people in Northern Virginia think of him as the starter of, well, actually, he and George Washington started that one. But Linda McKnight was the first lady chair of our academy. Jane Penny was the first lady president in the society. Scott Prosich is somewhat the father of our camps. And Hal Rosen, of course, led the selection committees from the time they started until about 2016, 2017. We added one more in 2019. I met a gentleman on his 100th birthday, Colonel Bud Ossie. And Bud is out in Portland, Oregon, and he became a fellow in the original class in 1972. And Bud Ossie joined the society in 1946. When I went out to his 100th birthday, I was talking to him, and he turned around and said, "Well, young man, when were you born?" And I told him, and he said, "Well, you're not even as old as my oldest son." And so it made me feel great. I felt much younger. But we made him a distinguished fellow after I'd met him. We came back, and the distinguished fellows are the ones who vote to determine who else is a distinguished fellow. And so Bud became a distinguished fellow. I've been in contact with him. He's still with us. He got both of his shots, so he's ready to go out and start partying outside the home he's living in right now. But the interesting thing is we want to give him a 75-year membership pin, and we've never produced one. We've never produced a 75-year member either. And so Bud will probably be our first 75-year member. So that is something for all of you to shoot for, because he's going to be a fellow for 50 years next year. And so those are things that you can shoot for in the future. Well, we went through a selection process recently and picked 4 more distinguished fellows. They're going to be honored at the investiture next week, next week. And so let me give you a little rundown. Susan DiGeronimo, let's call her the instigator and the mother of the Academy of Fellows. Basically, Suzanne came up with the amulet that you are wearing as a fellow. Suzanne came up with the investiture process that we started back in 1995. And so, she is a part of everything that we've been doing. She's a gold medal winner. And so Suzanne got missed on the first time, but definitely did not get missed this time. The next person is Rear Admiral Gary Engel. Rear Admiral Gary Engel has been chair of the Academy. He's been president of the society. He has been a stalwart on the foundation board that has been established. Gary is coming on board as another distinguished fellow. Dave Nash. Dave Nash was president back when he was in the Navy as the leader of the CEC. Dave continued on to do great things as a contractor and consultant during the Gulf Wars. But Dave is also on the foundation board. Roger Wozni, one of our 3 civilian presidents that occurred before we changed over to having civilian presidents. He was one of those 3 people who became president when we were doing the military leaders. Roger, once again, was one of the fellows back in the 80s and has been Mr. Omaha Post for years and years. Well, Roger Wozniak still supporting the foundation. Oddly enough, out of your distinguished fellows, I was looking at that today. There are 4 of the people that were original distinguished fellows are on the foundation board, and these 4 on the foundation board. And so as you look at other things you may want to do in the future, the foundation board is out there for you too. So that's just an understanding of distinguished fellows. As we rewrite the manual and adjust it, there's more information about distinguished fellows that you can find out. But these people are ones, actually, we just have a new pin made, and it just has an arc below your normal pin that says distinguished. And there'll be a new amulet printed that will allow that to be distinguished for those people. And they'll have a little different ribbon on it. Thank you for putting up with me for all these years, and I will continue to work with the distinguished fellows and definitely be there with you next week.
Hey, buddy.
Thank you very much, John. Sir.
Buddy, this is Kathy. Nadia Turk had a question about the qualifications to become a distinguished fellow and whether it was exemplary service at the national level or if it can be at the post level, and how someone is nominated.
People are not nominated. They are actually nominated by the distinguished fellows. And those nominations are brought forth by distinguished fellows for members of the Academy of Fellows. And so that is the way it occurs, and it's stated in the new operations manual. If in fact, I'm not sure if Brad's on, it was being published. And so I don't know if you know, Ann, if the revisions have been published.
I
Sorry.
can give an update. Go ahead, Ann. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it hasn't been published yet. We are still working through it right now.
Okay.
That is included in that revision.
So there isn't a matter of fact, folks wants to let, and I happen to be, they don't call me a chair. I'm kind of the voice of the group. They don't allow anyone to be a chair. We all just kind of work together. So if someone wants to contact me and say, gee, there's this person out here that is really special, I'm open to that. You've got my email address. It's in the system, buddy.barnes01@gmail.com. So if someone out there wants to recommend someone, I will definitely give that to people. I may not be the person who's going to support it. I'm going to tell them of it, and they can go and investigate. We meet 4 times a year. We meet at JETC time. We meet at Post Leaders time. We meet at Small Business, and we meet at Capital Week. So when we meet at Small Business, that's when distinguished fellows would bring any names forward that we can vote on at that point in time. And then once we vote, then it's given to the president and the chair of the academy. And so the announcements were a little late this year, but the announcements will go out at about the same time that the investiture or the new class of fellows is announced to the individuals. Does that answer it, Kathy?
I think so. Yes. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Hey, Kathy, can we go back to the first slide and the agenda, and we'll wrap up. I'd like to thank Nadia for asking a question and putting it out there on chat. But as we have 24 folks out there, I will give a moment for the giant pause when I say, does anybody else have a question or some good information to put out? Because this is kind of what it's all about, other than just us talking. But here we go, the giant pause. Can anybody break it? All right. Nope. we're all tired. We're all tired of Zoom messaging and Zoom emailing and Zoom this and that. So all I have to say is thank you. And the second thing is we discussed yesterday in our AOF call, about the new AOF committee that you have just been introduced to. And the one thing we did do as the outgoing one is to keep these town halls on and pick a date. So when the new AOF meets, they'll have a date to work for and adjust if they want to. But for continuity effort, our next town hall is 14 July. And we have found that the 3 p.m. time is helpful for those on the West Coast and the East Coast. So trying to be inclusive. And that is all I have. I'll give everybody one more chance. Hey, have a great day, and I've really enjoyed hosting these and look forward to seeing people in public. Take care. Go Orioles.
Everybody.
Yeah, go out.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.